So I had someone on here, guys, ask, sorry I can't remember your name off the top of my head, an Aussie guy, why do we do the winter grazing? Just a quick wee short to go through it. Look, the gist of it is we live at the bottom of the South Island in New Zealand. We don't grow enough grass to feed our stock for pretty much 5 months of the year, start of May through end of September. September can be a funny one. It's probably pretty on point, but then to be fair, October can be evil too. So we're going to grow the feed to get our stock through that 5 month period in the other 7 months, as well as getting those stock through that 7 months. So this is why we grow this stuff. We could winter on grass. We did used to winter on grass. The problem is, if you want your lambs to survive down here, especially if the weather turns ugly in September, which it can, you need cover. You need grass cover. Might have to do this in 2 parts. That'll be right. Yeah, so we can winter on grass and we can have nothing left at the end of it, or we can winter on crop like this. Our grass paddocks on average will grow 8, 9, 10 tonne of dry matter depending on the season. These are really bad this year and they've done 15, and a good year would expect 20. So we grow more feed per hectare, which is a big bonus to start with. Second thing though, we feed them predominantly on this. I think this winter we're going to be about 70-75%. We've got cattle in those trees because I don't like putting cattle on crop, but that's another story. What it allows us to do is to lamb on a decent cover, which means that the ewes are fed better, they have bigger lambs, they milk better, everything just works out better. Survivability and growth of the lambs is better. Survivability of the ewes, if you go too far the other way, is worse, but you sort of manage that. Generally speaking, survival of the ewes is far better as well. So that's a bit of why we do this. Also, regrassing program. We know we need to keep regrassing. The ryegrass doesn't last forever. You wind up with a whole lot of wild, native type grasses that don't perform as well. Grass to grass doesn't work very well in our experience. It works really well for 2 to 3 years. You regrass like this 8, 9 years down the track, as long as you keep the fertility up to it, your grasses are still in really good shape. So having that break crop in between for a year, I mean, you can see there's a little bit of grass left in here, but there's not much. Yeah, it's been sitting for a year. So that's another aspect to it. Why Swedes instead of something else? Price and safety. They're a very safe form of feed. They do have a problem in the necks. You can see some of the bulbs have quite a long neck on them, and that is the, oh crikey, gluconates or glucosinates, I forget which one it is. Anyway, they block the uptake of iodine. You've got to be careful with that. Outside of that, Swedes are a very complete form of diet. They even have all the water they need in them, which is pretty cool. Fodder bed on the other hand, far higher energy, but far higher dry matter, harder on teeth, far higher in sugar. It has downsides, and very low in phosphorus, very low in protein, so you've got to be careful there. Certainly not a complete feed like the Swede very nearly is. Kale's easy, kale's cheap. It's not actually that cheap to grow, but it's easy to grow, but it doesn't have the yield potential for sheep. For cattle you can grow gruner with great big tree trunks, but sheep won't eat that. They'll strip the leaves off it and that's it. But anyway, I'm waffling. The gist of it is, we do this on an animal welfare basis and a financial basis. Obviously, there's always finances come into it, but the idea is that by wintering sheep on Swedes, the lambs are far better off because the ewes been fed properly, the ewe can milk better, and the ewe has a better the lamb has a better birth weight, which means better survival. So yeah, that is why we do our winter cropping.